between President Tinubu and King Charles III holds at Buckingham Palace.
Presidency reacts to new report on Nigeria's trade balance, assures of a robust economy.
Political party candidates sign peace accord ahead of Edo Goba.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the Capetown Convention and its implications on Nigeria's aviation sector.
Well, Nigeria has just signed the Capetown Convention Practice Direction. Good news. This is to help reduce the costs of airlines, as well as bring speed, certainty, and cost savings to the process of repossessing and otherwise realizing value from aircrafts.
The Capetown Convention Practice Direction was signed by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, during a stakeholders meeting of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
Well, the hope is that the benefits for financiers will result in reduced finance costs to airlines. The primary aim of this convention and the protocol is to resolve the problem of obtaining certain opposable rights to high-value aviation assets.
These assets include airframes, aircraft engines and helicopters, which by their nature have no fixed location. This problem arises primarily from the fact that legal systems have different approaches to securities, title retention and lease agreements.
Absolutely, and if not properly done, there may be uncertainty for lending institutions regarding the efficacy of their rights in this.
That's true, Victor. This is because it hampers the provision of financing for such aviation assets and increases the borrowing cost. And these all directly impact the aviation industry. So today, we have some industry players joining us in the course of the program to speak on the issues. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Henry John.
And I'm Victor, as well. Let me also welcome you to today's program. We are reaching you, of course, on the network service of the NTA. Chukwudi Obaja joins us a bit later for the newspaper review, but after highlights of the news with Musa Abubakar in waiting. Good morning, Musa.
Good morning, Victor, and good morning, ARA. Here's the news. President Bola Tinubu has met with His Majesty King Charles III at the Buckingham Palace for a private meeting. During the meeting, both leaders highlighted the enduring and cherished relationship between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. This will be the second meeting between the duo after they first met in Dubai at COP28 Climate Summit last year. The statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, revealed that the latest meeting was at the King's request. Both leaders discussed global and regional matters of shared priority, focusing on the urgent and complex challenge of climate change. President Tinubu and His Majesty also explored opportunities for collaboration in anticipation of the upcoming COP29 summit in Azerbaijan and the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samar. President Tinubu reiterated Nigeria's firm commitment to addressing climate change in a manner that aligns with the country's energy security objectives, while affirming Nigeria's readiness to adopt global strategies for sustainability. During their dialogue, the two leaders shared ideas for innovative approaches to climate financing and funding, expressing mutual interest in strengthening partnerships by harnessing Nigeria's leadership position in Africa and the Commonwealth. President Bola Tinubu has welcomed the National Bureau of Statistics' new report on the country's trade balance. According to the report, Nigeria recorded another trade surplus in the second quarter of 2024, hitting 6.95 trillion naira. A statement by the special advisor to the president on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, indicates that the current surplus is 6.60% higher than the 6.52 trillion naira surplus recorded in the first quarter, just days after the country recorded almost 100% oversubscription of its first $500 million domestic bond and half-year revenue of 9.1 trillion naira. The latest report underscores the increasing positive shifts in the economy over the last year. The president, Tinubu, expresses confidence in the reforms his administration is pursuing and believes they will create a more robust economy that will usher in a new era of prosperity for Nigerians. The NBS report reflects the country's strong export performance in the second quarter, although total merchandise trade in Quarter 2 2024 stood at 31.89 trillion naira, a 30.76% decline compared to the preceding quarter. It marked a 150.39% rise from the corresponding period in 2023. The NBS reported that the Quarter 2 surplus was essentially driven by exports to Europe, the United States, and Asia. Candidates and chairmen of political parties participating in 2024 Edo State governorship election have pledged their commitment to the peaceful conduct of the September 21st governorship election in the state. This was during the signing of Edo State Governorship Peace Accord, facilitated by the Kuka Center and Abdul Salami Abubakar-led National Peace Committee. The People's Democratic Party did not sign the peace accord.
It is a commitment to conduct campaigns free of hate speech, incitement, and violence.
We will remain impartial, professional, and vigilant.
We will continue to play our part according to the law.
Well, those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Ari and Victor after the commercial break.
It's time for newspaper review. We'll see you after the break.
All right, we got Chukwudi Okoli Ubaja with us this morning. Chukwudi, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Yeri. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Victor, good morning.
Good morning.
You were pretending not to notice me.
No, I noticed you. You're not a fine girl.
It's okay. Let's go, guy.
All right, let's see what the papers have this morning. We'll begin with the headlines on the front page of the New Telegraph, and it leads with many still trapped on rooftops, over 400,000 households displaced, according to NEMA. That's the update on the Maiduguri flood. The writer says agency still compiling death toll, expects to recover more bodies. Millions in Southeast Asia battle floods, death toll surpasses 200. Not a good time, really. The floods are really doing so much harm at the moment. And away from that, now we have EFCC to court. Nobody has laid claim to $2.045 million linked to Emefiele. That's on page 26. Federal government moves to cut cost of airline operations, signs CTC practice direction. Again, unions to short aviation over 50% agencies deductions, and that's on pages 3 and 5 of the New Telegraph. On page 7, but it's on the front page here as a headline, crude in Naira talks with federal government not finalized, says Dangote Group. Okay. Crude in Naira talks with federal government not finalized, says Dangote Group. An NBS report underscores increasing positive shifts in economy. That's according to Tinubu. Pages 2 and 4 has that. Quickly looking beside the picture story now, we have Labour Party fired Julius Abure to avoid INEX acts, and that's according to Usman. Tinubu's China trip gains vistas of opportunities for Nigeria. And Edo Guba, APC reverses self, signs peace accord. PDP demands immediate redeployment of CP and the REC. That's on page 2. Below the picture story, we have Wealth Suffering, says APC Chairman's Forum. Bandits kill 5 policemen, 3 soldiers in fresh Zamfara attack. And finally this morning on the front page of the New Telegraph, study links early puberty to chemical in care products. All right, let's see the Daily Trust quickly now. Bono flood, of course, also leads right here on the front page of the Daily Trust. And it has my wife, 5 kids still missing. That's from a survivor. The writers, I thought I would die with my 6 children. Kano operators collected 100,000 naira to rescue my ship. NGF visits affected areas, donates 100 million naira. Fintiri 50 million naira. 259 dead, over 1 million affected in 29 states, according to NEMA. Very terrible picture story here. Doesn't say good at all. And looking below that, 30 die in Kaduna Kano road crashes. Edo governorship, PDP declines to sign peace accord. That's on page 13. Fuel queues resurface in Abuja. You can read that on page 3. Of course, you can see that all around Abuja. Nigeria must investigate attacks on journalists. And above that, just below the masthead, APC state chairman worried over hardship. 400 deported Nigerians arrive at Abuja airport from UAE. That's on page 3. And finally this morning from the front page of the Daily Trust, we have bandits kill 3 soldiers. Others in Zamfara abduct 4 at Katsina Hospital. Victor.
All right, I have the leadership Friday. Well, some of the stories you have already taken. The story of bandits killing 400 Nigerians deported from the UAE are also here. Edo Guba 2024. Stakeholders raise concern as PDP shuns peace accord. Abdusalam Committee warns against election violence. APC, LP, others commit to peaceful conduct of poll. And our men will be professional. That's according to the police. You can get details of that story on page 4. And then according to the governor, many still trapped in Borno flood. That story is on page 7. It also has a picture story of the camps are being set up for displaced persons. Don't betray Governor Abdul Razak. Ilorin Emir warns appointees. That story is on page 16, and it's on the bottom strip of the front page of the leadership. And above the masthead, 6.95 trillion naira trade surplus, sign of growing economy. That's according to President Tinubu. And bandits, okay, I told you about that already. EFCC to prosecute bank officials for fraud. That's a trending story here. And you can get the details on page 2 as Nigeria's crude oil production hits 1.352 million barrels per day. Chukwudi Okolobaja, I think we're ready for you.
Yeah, the killing of soldiers in Zamfara state should not be allowed to go as a routine, occurrence, because when a soldier falls to the bullet or whatever is used to kill him or her, somebody loses a son or daughter, or somebody loses a husband, and a daughter or son loses a father, or or a mom. So whenever this happens, we must always have a heavy heart about it. Even though soldiers will tell you we are not shocked when our colleagues are killed, because sometimes we accept that these things happen. That's the way it is. but we must empathize with the families that are losing these soldiers. And the other implication, really, which has a social, angle to it, is that when soldiers are killed, those of us who are civvies tend to panic if they could have the audacity to kill a soldier. That means that it wouldn't matter to them if they come into a community and kill so many people. Yes. So we must always, as editors, watch the kind of messaging we put around the death of soldiers. We must always shape it up in a way that we tell the polity that it's not as if the bandits or the insurgents are winning the fight. That is when bias comes into editorial, for love of country and for love of those who have died. I just thought I should chip that in. May their souls rest in peace. While we all, get our hands on the till to make sure that this banditry, this insurgency is finally dealt a death blow. Very important. The flood disaster is still a big headache. When you hear that people are still hanging onto rooftops, you say, many days on, how could that still be? And the pity is that I don't think we have so many helicopters that could go pick them up from there. This is when a helicopter actually proves to you that it's almost as important as the horse on the ground, I really feel that the kind of thing these people are going through, these people who are caught in the flood, is really traumatic, and we should all do what we can to ameliorate the situation for them. I remember when Ogunpa flood disaster happened way back. I think it was Ibadan or somewhere. President Shehu Shagari, when he got there, the exclamation that came from his lips, Haba, Bola, Haba, It was that bad. I know that you guys are too young to know that time.
To know Bolaige, right?
Not Bolaige. We're talking about him. You're too young in general. You don't know about the flood disaster. But let's not trivialize the situation. Edo Guba, APC reverses self. Signs. Were they not going to sign before? Let me say this. The Nigerian politician takes the polity too much for granted. Some of the things you hear here, you can't hear them abroad. That somebody is pulling back from signing. I even hear the PDP may still...
The PDP did not sign.
They would be punished if it were in climes where people tell you that the ballot actually determines who gets in there.
Oh, but
you don't try that. Peace is something you embrace, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, you're an enemy of the state. I don't even want to read it.
Yeah, but some say that the signing is just on paper, but what happens, on the ground on election day, is usually different from all of that signing. Political parties still.
Well,
even
the symbolism of it is important in the process. You are saying it's just a symbolism. It could just be a symbolism.
That's the view of the party that refused to sign.
Yeah, but if later you develop trouble that begins to take lives or leave people maimed, we are going to remind you, maybe in court, that you signed a piece of code. Why have you turned against your country? We should take these things seriously. There are places where you say that you can't in the UK say you refuse to sign a piece of code. Let Nigerians wake up and tell politicians, no, that's not messaging that should go out to the polity. Who the hell are you? You are coming in to serve us. We're going to be the ones to say, this is whom we want, this is whom we don't want. And you're saying that the primary requirement in the process, you're shirking the responsibility of embracing it. It doesn't make sense.
That the conditions prevalent are not looking pro-peace.
So at the end of the day...
so that it may just turn out, get you to tie your hands behind your back.
If it's a ploy to get the security forces, to get whoever they are complaining about to up their game and give us a more conducive atmosphere for elections, that's okay. But ultimately, they must sign it.
They've said this.
The messaging to the polity is what I'm interested in. Stop taking Nigerian people for granted. You don't say that. You don't sign a piece of code and you expect us to go and drop paper in the ballot for you? No. Victor, I am angry.
It's okay, but I think it's the same. This should also anger you when a political party refuses to debate.
You're never on that side,
well, Africa is still developing. Yeah, I've told you things about. Do you hear me actually lambaste Nigeria about this? It's an African thing, and it has to do with some aspects of our culture that tend to take certain things for granted. It's not every aspect of our culture that ennobles the man. No. I said the other time, when we were young and we had to go and pound mud with our feet so that we'll set up a mud house for somebody, and when it got to time to share the fufu and the egusi and all that, and you told an elder, there's no, where is my fish? And they will take a lump of egusi, put it on top of your fufu. They tell you, go, there's fish in it. And you get there, there's no fish in it. So the elders were lying to the young people. What sort of message were they putting out? Children don't eat fish. So you, the aged, you need nutrients from fish more than I do. Yeah, Africa has to question certain things.
Food. It doesn't smell.
Victor, don't talk with your talk. It's not everything about our culture that is good. Let us learn from people who are worthy of emulation, please. Then those beautiful things about our culture, let them identify us and give us an identity. I hope the
politicians are listening. If you see, the whole buzz around the debate, debate in the presidential election of the U.S., and then you see how important that is, that you show up or you don't show up, or that you do well or you don't do well. You see how
those are times where people are not taken for granted. A politician is getting into office to be my servant. That's what he is, the true politician. He's not going there to line his pockets and all that.
Anyway, let's thank you. You must embrace the reality of being in a country where the politician is your leader.
I'm surprised that Chukwudi is angry today. That's not usually your position.
Occasionally things can get under my skin and I feel bad about it. Right. I hate it when people take me for granted.
It's okay.
When I have a hand in determining your fate.
We will have to
what if we decide not to vote?
Chukwudi, I told you yesterday that you must reconcile the Chukwudi in you and the journalist in you. You must reconcile them. We don't like the conflict.
The journalist in me talk today.
We don't like the conflict.
All right, but quickly, let's just mention this. New research suggests that a compound found in a wide variety of products, from cosmetics to air fresheners to detergents and even soaps, may send a signal to the area of the brain that triggers the start of puberty. And that is why we're seeing girls getting to the age, or rather showing signs of puberty even at age 8, and for boys at age 9. That's something that needs to be looked at, because the study says that all of this could trigger some health complications later in life, like breast cancer, diabetes, heart diseases.
We will have to go.
And all of
it's
that.
Something we'll have to
consider
some other time.
It's very important so that, all of
we'll
this.
have to consider that some other time.
Talk for another day.
Chukwudi, let's thank you for your time this morning. Please get some tea when you step out of the studio.
I'll try.
Our conversation just after this break. Please stay with us.
All right, it's still good morning. Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. And as a prompt for a conversation on the Capetown Convention and its implications on the Nigerian aviation industry, let's quickly see this background report put together by our correspondent, State House correspondent, Abdurrahman Jabrila.
Capetown Convention Practice Direction signed. The principles of the convention now becomes reinforced in Nigeria, reducing the cost of insurance for airlines, restoring investors' confidence in the nation's aviation industry, and enabling domestic airline operators to dry lease aircraft, among others. And this is coming as some local operators had in the past breached the Capetown Convention, which regulates aircraft leasing across the world, leading to the Aviation Working Group, co-chaired by Airbus and Boeing, saying Nigeria will be blacklisted until it implements a law that will guide against a repeat of such breach.
We were able to cross-pollinate ideas across all sectors and have come up with robust solutions to the challenges facing the aviation industry. And we'll take all necessary measures, as painful as some might be, to protect, promote, project, and preserve the interests of the Nigerian nation. Be rest assured that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is keenly interested in the promotion and preservation of the Nigerian airline industry. I spoke with him about 3 days ago, and he was very much interested on the outcome of our deliberations today.
Nigerians have been seeing the high cost of flight tickets lately. There are a number of factors, including forex and all that, but there's some regulatory and bureaucratic challenges. Because Mr. President is really committed to addressing challenges one by one, this is one of the fruits of what he has done.
Vice President Kashim Shettima said the action will substantially reduce costs in the airline industry, facilitate growth, and include further action that will be taken in that direction.
It's an unprecedented history that we're making here today. It's a venture that will boost the Nigerian airline and will boost the Nigerian aviation industry in the sense that more airlines will be able to acquire aircraft at cheaper costs.
So a message has been sent to the entire aviation world by President Ahmed Bola Tinubu that the Nigerian airline industry is good to go, that they should feel comfortable to deal with any airline. If you like, bring 100 planes into the country. The airline industry will live to the tenets of the Capetown Convention. On our own side, as airlines, we promise not to disappoint this country.
The insurance sector, being represented here by the regulator, will be working closely with the operators with one ultimate objective of Nigerianizing and localizing all those elements such that the Nigerian economy can grow and benefit from all of this.
Signing of the document will reassure the international community it is safe to invest in Nigeria, and the unprecedented history made is a venture that will boost Nigerian airlines and the entire aviation industry, as the signing of the document was significant progress for Nigeria's aviation sector and the economy in general.
Very much, Abdurrahman Jibrila, for that background report. And to begin our conversation, let me introduce here in the studio Dr. Jumoke Oduwole. She's Special Advisor to the President on Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PBEC, and Investment. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, we are expecting a number of guests here in the studio and out of it. But while we await their arrival or joining us, we'll just engage Dr. Oduwole to tell us precisely what this whole Capetown Convention is all about.
So the Capetown Convention is a convention that countries entered into about 20 years ago. The reason for the agreement was that lessors, or should I say owners of aircrafts, manufacturers of aircrafts hardly are able to sell aircrafts outright because it's so expensive. So they're financiers who specialize in financing aircrafts and leasing them. So when an airline operator makes an order to Boeing or Airbus or any airplane manufacturer, financiers come in to acquire the asset and lease it to the airlines. That makes airlines able to have many more fleets and expand their routes. Now, when you are in another country or another continent and you send your aircraft to a legal jurisdiction over which you have no power, if anything goes wrong in the contract, the lessee can just sit on the asset and keep it anywhere in the world and you have no redress. So countries came together in Cape Town about 20 years ago to sign this convention that within our legal jurisdiction we will protect the rights of the lessor to have their assets back, because these are very, very expensive assets.
So if it's 20 years ago, why is Nigeria just getting on board?
So Nigeria has been a signatory to the convention for quite a few years, but it's the implementation. So we had a legacy issues. One of our airline operators in the past actually went to court. Like 1 or 2 of them have gone to court and detained lessors' planes within the Nigerian legal jurisdiction, and they got interim injunctions. They were able to keep the aircraft, and long and short of the matter was that Nigeria got blacklisted. Because, you know, it's a closed market. Boeing, Airbus are like the co-chairs, and the country got blacklisted because the jurisdiction could not protect the rights of the lessor. So without procedurals for the courts, judges can give the interim injunction based on, you know, with any other commercial law, you can give an interim injunction to detain an asset. So the convention sort of legally overrides that basic legal process. We need practice procedures to be able to adhere. So judges would know anywhere across the Federal High Court, which is what has the jurisdiction for transactions like this, that you cannot detain, you have to be able to release the asset within 5 to 10 working days. So Nigeria, okay, go on please.
Yeah, go ahead. So
I'm a lecturer, so I have the tendencies to give the lecture since you asked the question. So without those jurisdictions, really without the fault of the judges, just going by normal commercial law, you would be able to give an interim injunction. But with these procedures signed by the judge of the Federal High Court yesterday, judges would know that in the case of aircrafts, when a lessor, you cannot give an interim injunction without hearing the other side.
Outside that, you know, the issues between the lessor and then, you know, whoever, you know, is using the plane as at that particular time, what other benefit does Nigeria stand to gain from all of this?
Oh, that is just the beginning of the question. So having those practice procedures and having our legal jurisdiction in Nigeria really up to the global expectations releases lessors to be able to contract freely with Nigerian airline operators, knowing that the legal jurisdiction, they'll be protected. And then this opens a whole opportunity of getting dry leases, which are planes that are leased to airline operators. Wet leases are leased to airline operators with a crew and pilots. So they're very expensive. Dry leases allows the airline operators to employ their own pilots and crew. So if you are able to access dry lease, because it's just a small market of lessors and plane manufacturers. So if you're out of the club, it's like a child being shut out from the playground. You can't access what everybody else is enjoying. So now Nigerian airline operators can go and contract with the lessors, knowing that they don't have to buy their planes outright. Right now, we understand that Nigerian airline operators have to own their planes. They have to buy the planes outright, which is a lot of money. So what that means is that they end up buying older planes, which are of course cheaper, and they cannot lease newer planes. So that's part of why you see that the airplanes we have around here, which of course as a country, we want to have the newest and best planes. It's for safety, it's for comfort, it's for speed and efficiency. So now they can also expand their routes. They can go to more places at more times. They'll have more planes available. The cost would come down because now they don't have to try to buy planes outright. They can lease. So the cost of our tickets will come down and there'll be more routes. So there'll be more availability to travel. The airlines have just few planes. They're selling tickets. They're not able to cover all the routes. If anything happens, it's too tight, it's too close. We'll have more aircrafts available in the country. And of course, that leads to ease of doing business.
Ease of doing business, yes. You know, you mentioned that word earlier, even before we started. It seems like you really like it. Nigerians want to see ease, or rather want ease when they have to fly. And of course, ease in their pockets, ease with timing, and all of that. Are you saying that this is a straight bullet, to deal with all the problems in the aviation sector. Of course, the prices, for example, of airfares, delays by, airline operators. I mean, there's so many issues. All kinds of problems when you have to travel. So do you think this would address all of these challenges at once? Because of course, I'm sure when the airline operators owners will join us, they may tell you, oh well, aviation fuel or one other thing and all of that. So do you think this would deal maximally with all the problems that we have?
So there are many things. Airline operators, almost everything they do is priced in dollars. So they have the normal issues that every business has in terms of access to FX, the cost of FX. They work in the macro, so the high interest rates, the inflation, they're battling with every other challenge. But in addition to that, so at the PEBEC, we work on regulatory, bureaucratic, legislative challenges. So this particular judicial constraint with our legal climate, with our jurisdiction, was hindering them from accessing aircrafts at a cheaper cost. And so that is transferred in terms of pricing. And another thing that did was that the blacklisting was also making it very expensive for Nigerian airline operators to insure their planes. So we also had a separate discussion on insurance. So the Honorable Minister of Finance was also at the meeting. The Insurance Commissioner was at the meeting. The Insurers Association of Nigeria was at the meeting. How are we going to work together to make sure that, because these assets have to be insured, it's a lot of money, and mainly internationally. But we also want the Nigerian insurance sector we want the money to pass through Nigeria's GDP. So how do we get the insurers to advocate for the airline operators? We're trying to get them to work together to make sure that in the international market, we're not just losing the money out of the economy, we're also passing it through, but in a cost-effective way that the airline operators are not held over a barrel.
And how quickly can these airlines, the aviation sector, and indeed Nigerians begin to reap the benefits of this new agreement, well, new to us in this context?
Yes, the practice directions immediately coming into force, so all the judges of the Federal High Court will be aware of this. It is a perception issue. It's not as if any airline operator in recent history of Nigeria has detained any lessor's plane. But you know how it is. When things happen and there's now a perception in the international market, you have to fix that perception. So this was the work of the Honorable Minister of Aviation and his team, working with the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to develop these practice procedures, making it clear. It's a signal. He also went to Boeing, recently. He's even right now currently in Canada, speaking to the international community to get that perception right, to fix the delisting, all the legacy impressions about our economy and our operators. So those are the things that one by one, as a government and in collaboration with the private sector, we have to address. As we address them, you see the insurance rates will get better. You see that there's access to more planes and at a cheaper rate, at a more competitive rating, as the country's rating moves up. So, that's why I'm here, because PEBEC works on these issues systemically for the whole country with all arms and levels of government. So this is one of the sectoral issues that we worked on. Mr. President had really encouraged Mr. Vice President with the full mandates to work on ease of doing business. So we've been working with about 18 ministers, the central bank governor, the head of civil service, the secretary to the government. These are all members of the council, with the state governors and the local government, AMAC, to deliver on all these sectors and all these issues. So it's not a magic one, but it's something that we go progressively to make it easier to start and grow a business in Nigeria.
Okay, I want you to tell us how leasing a plane works, and then the fact that you already mentioned that the market is a closed one. Why do you think there'll be a difference now with this Capetown Convention when it concerns Nigeria? In all of this, because you already mentioned perception issue. There are a lot of factors. Since it's closed, they could just decide, well, Nigeria, no matter what they do, may not actually be able to access some of these very good planes you're talking about at a cheaper price.
No, we can. So perception can become reality unless you challenge it. So the Nigerian government, the Honorable Minister of Aviation, has been challenging those legacy perceptions. So this is a result of months of hard work, engaging with the international community, doing the work, so they know that we've been on this process. And so now they've seen that we've signed the procedures, the court procedures. That's one step. Working with the insurance community to make sure that when operators go either to the international market or even through Nigerian insurers, that they're getting a fair rate that reflects the reality, that are, perception, high risk, and then they get high premiums out of, and that's passed into the cost of the ticket. So when you start working on those perceptions and championing and advocating for your ecosystem and for your value chain and stakeholders, and when they work together, so we had the airline operators speaking with the insurers and really committing, the regulator of the space, the National Commissioner for Insurance, NICOM, the head of NICOM, will be working to coordinate this activity. So together, Nigerian airline operators and Nigerian insurers will make sure that Nigeria is projected and getting the best possible rate on the international market.
And does this help, I'm just wondering, help Nigeria Airlines make inroads into new flight routes?
So I learned yesterday from the representative of the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Anastasia Bram, that it's not actually linked, in the sense that getting your planes and leasing your planes is a different discussion or transaction from dealing with the sort of the NTA, the flight regulators of different countries. So His Excellency the Vice President actually asked the question, I mean, would that get Nigeria to be able to fly to, say, the US, again, Nigerian Airlines? And that has to do with, again, advocacy, championing, the government supporting. So I think Air Peace is in the process of making an application. And as a business, you cannot really survive or thrive if you don't have your government. In that kind of space, you don't have the backing of your government. And definitely our Nigerian airline operators have the full backing of the government of Nigeria.
All right, full backing.
Yes.
You know, I asked you a question earlier about how you think this is really going to change the narrative, because some time ago when Air Peace tried to venture into the international route, going to the UK, we saw what happened. International airline operators trying to, suppress that move, just because they want to dominate the market and all of that. So, do you? So I'm just thinking, do you think that this really is going to make much impact?
I'm telling you, everybody has to hustle their hustle. So Nigerian businesses, are hustling their hustle. Air Peace is hustling that hustle. They did everything to meet the requirements. They got the route. Now it's up to Nigerians to patronize Air Peace London, Lagos, London to Gatwick. We have to now support so that route will not die. The tickets are actually sold out. We need to even encourage them to get more planes to be on the route. So we as stakeholders also have a vested interest, and the more planes and the more carriers from Nigeria, the price will always be cheaper for us than other airlines globally coming here. So we have to support our Nigerian businesses when they put up these services. It's a lot of investment, capital investment, a lot of regulatory requirements internationally, which is expensive, and they're arduous processes. So we also have to support them as they venture into these highly competitive. It's a cutthroat business out there. Nobody's coming there to support you. The British government would definitely support. Lagos London is one of the most lucrative routes in the world. And so why would the British government not try everything to make sure that, even if the government is not trying, the airline will be asking the government and putting as many roadblocks as possible, as they should. Nigerian airline operators also they didn't want Ethiopian Air, why should they? Everybody needs to hustle their own hustle. And our job is to support businesses operating in Nigeria to thrive, to scale. So removing their regulatory and bureaucratic, all the roadblocks that they have one by one. That is it. It's not a silver bullet. it's hard work, it takes time, but when you're systematic about it, that's why yesterday was such a big deal, and all the stakeholders were so excited. When you work systematically on an issue, and then you get to the end, now box ticked, and you start amplifying the message that, look, we have our procedural rules for Capetown Convention, tick. Our insurers are advocating to reduce price in the international reinsurance market, tick. They are also promising that they would not disappoint. They promised the federal government that they would not disappoint. When they have lessors planes, they will meet their obligations, tick. So we keep going like that, and then we see our economy taking that from one sector to another to another. That's how to build an economy. It's hard work, and you build it with courage and with determination.
Courage and determination. Of course, we see the Nigerian airline operators, trying to really do great. But, as someone who patronizes, this service yourself, I'm sure you've flown not just with the aircrafts managed by Nigerian airline operators, but also international airline operators. So I want you to just assume that you're Boeing Airbus, and an international aircraft operator is asking for a particular aircraft, and the Nigerian company too also wants the same Airbus. Do you think that the Nigerian operators have what it takes, in that market really to get the upper hand?
Oh, definitely. We travel a lot. So what it is that Nigerian operators have even shown to be deep pockets, in the sense that they buy outright. You hardly have any airline in the world being able to, it's just not the business model. But like anything here in Nigeria, we don't have a lot of mortgages. We have to save and buy our houses. We have to buy our cars outright. So even in that aircraft market that is so expensive globally, they still have to go with cash. Even when they're leasing to own, it's at a huge premium, and they still have to pay a lot of money. So now, I know, for instance, I'm privileged to find out that Airpeace, for instance, has 15 planes on order, brand new planes. And because there's a backlog in production globally, the lessors are trying to come to Airpeace to see whether they can buy some of those planes now. They ordered them, I think, 6 years ago. Yeah, so things like that. Foresight, fortune favors the brave, big audacious goals. Nigerian entrepreneurs are known for that. So all they need is the enabling support, and they just fly. This is like something that we know about. Like, this is what Nigerians are known for, the entrepreneurial grit, and it is definitely active in the aviation sector. They buy, when they lease and they have the legal backing, they will meet their obligations, because we all travel. Especially now with road travel, people prefer to fly, and the tickets are crazily expensive. So this will help everybody, the operational cost and the ticket cost, to come down.
All right, let's put you on hold. I understand that Chief Alan Onyema has just joined us. I will put you on hold. Yeah. We're not letting you go yet. So let's welcome to this conversation Dr. Alan Onyema, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Airpeace. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. And good morning to my sister, the special advisor.
All right. Let me just ask straight up what this convention, the Capetown Convention, means for Airpeace, for instance. And I'm using Airpeace as a point of contact for other airlines in Nigeria. What does it mean for you? More money, more aircraft, more investments, just what?
Well, I want to, first of all, use this very opportunity to thank our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think he's a game changer. His regime has done something has never been done before in this part of the world. And what President Bola Tinubu has done through Festus Keyamo is nothing short of revolution. This is a welcome revolution in the industry. And like my sister was explaining to you there, Nigerians are known for our resilience. If we could, face this odious task, all these years I've been surviving without these dry lease opportunities, the fact that the president has made it happen today, Nigerian airlines will excel. Like I said, all the airlines in the world, the legacy airlines, they don't own those planes. They're not dry leased. They can make orders, the lessor comes in and finances them. But today, we're giving such opportunities. The issue of capacity will be a thing of the past now, because over the years, I'm sure she must have explained that to you. Nigerian airlines have not been able to access this dry lease opportunity because of country risk. There's some Nigerian airlines defaulted in the past. Because of that, we are unofficially blacklisted. That is, all Nigerian airlines were unofficially blacklisted from accessing such opportunities. But Festus Keyamo has been, going around the world trying to change all this. The president mandated him to do that, and he did an excellent work. This is nothing short of revolution. Like when you say to not just peace alone, but to the entire Nigerian airline industry, it's going to be a new dawn. And we thank Mr. President for it. It means an increase in capacity. Like she was telling you, we made orders years ago, and they were supposed to deliver, but because of sometimes there were delays. Now the orders are coming through by the end of next year. So we now suddenly become a bride, because they know what this the president's regime was about to assign this Capetown Convention practice direction into law. And people had already started that, looking for us to do business with us. In fact, I just don't know how to describe the way we feel now. But what President Tinubu has just done is nothing short of revolution. And at the same time, I want to pay kudos to the Vice President, who wived the whole process yesterday and saw to it that this was signed. Kudos to the government. We are happy.
You are happy, but will air travelers also be happy? Or is it just the airline owners that are happy about all of this? How does this make a traveler, one of your customers on Airpeace happy? How does this convention, reach them and touches them?
Going to make the entire country happy, and in fact, not just the country, but the flying populace, not only in Nigeria, but the entire African region. When Nigeria leads, things fall in place. Let me tell you this. It's going to make the average traveler happy, because now capacity will increase. And that means if I have 60 or 70 aircraft flying all over Nigeria, that means every nook and cranny of this country will be covered. You don't need to travel to Yola, then commute by road for another 7-6 hours to Jalingo. That means I will have enough plane to some kind of aircraft that will take you to Jalingo, straight from Abuja, straight from wherever you are. It means we are going to interconnect cities in this country. For example, why must one come to Abuja from Yola before you could go to Kano? No. Why not Yola Kano? Why not Yola Gombe? Why not from Yola to Borno, instead of coming to Abuja first before you get out there? These are issues of capacity. The more Nigerians may not know what this government has just done with the signing of this practice direction yesterday. And that was why Festus Keyamo has been traveling all over the place, trying to make this happen. It's a new dawn for this country. Passengers are going to enjoy. And once the capacity is there, it will mean reduction in price, reduction in airfares. It will come with reduction in airfares. And at the same time, the cities of this country. Somebody in Akure will be able to travel from Akure to Warri by air. The kind of aircraft that will do it will be there. Somebody from Calabar will be able to go to Warri by air, Calabar to Enugu by air. You don't need to come from Port Harcourt to Abuja to be able to go to Kano. You don't need that. You have to fly straight from Port Harcourt to Kano. What the president has done with the signing means that the economy of this country has just been opened up. You just wait and see. And of course, the West Coast is there. Central Africa is there.
Much, Dr. Onyema. I can see excitement. I can feel the excitement that you feel, with all of this. But I ask, all the opportunities opened up just by virtue of government making this available. Are the airlines ready? Do they have the capacity to take up all of the opportunities? Because some of it could be getting more aircraft, getting into more routes and all of it. Are you ready?
Of course. You don't know. See, let me tell you, before yesterday, bring in any of those legacy airlines from the first world. I call them the first world. They call us third world. Bring in any of those legacy airlines to operate under the same conditions we've been operating. They may not last more than 72 hours. That is the truth. So if we could thrive under certain conditions, under conditions where you must amass all the wealth you can think of in this world to be able to buy one aircraft. You know what? The cost of the least brand new plane will be nothing less than $50 million. And you're talking about having 30 or 40 of them. You know what? The capital outlay is unbelievable. Out there, they can't afford it. Is it not in the first world? If you want to buy air conditioner, you can do it through, you would do it through financing. You want to buy telephone, it's financing. You want to, so you can imagine what we are going to, where the capacity. So if we could do it when the conditions we are so hurried. Now that we've been, freed from the clutches of stigmatization, Nigerian spirit, trust our entrepreneurial ability and resilience. It's going to happen. Because, for example, before yesterday, for me to get financing from any of the Nigerian banks, I have to depend on 30% or 26% or 25%. That is huge. So if these airlines have been thriving under this kind of condition and trying to succeed, now that the president has made it very, very affordable for us, because the money, even wet lease that we do in this country, the money you use in doing wet lease, one wet lease of one aircraft, you could use it to wet lease dry lease about 6 planes through this convention. The money I use in buying one of my brand new planes, for goodness sake, I could use that money for one of my brand new planes to lease over 30 aircraft. Over 30. So you can understand what I'm saying. So any Nigerian airlines, even the list of the airlines, maybe with 4 or 5 aircraft that they owned outrightly, if they convert the money they expended on those planes to use them to do dry lease, those airlines will be having nothing less than maybe 30 aircraft each. So you come to a piece with over 30 aircraft, maybe I would have had over 150 planes by now. So you can understand what we are talking about. I don't know how to celebrate Mr. President and President Keyamo and the Vice President. What they did yesterday was unimaginable. They've just left off, they just freed us from the clutches of stigmatization. And the world is, like she told you, the special advisor told you, the world has already started looking our way already. Even because they knew this was going to come with this government, they started looking our way. Now they finally did it. Yesterday, I received calls from the United States. I've received calls from all over the world congratulating us for what had just happened. Calls coming from lessors. I'm talking about lessors. So, it's been opened up. The sky is the limit. We are very hopeful. We're enthusiastic to get to it.
I like your optimism and the fact that this administration is doing well in this direction. Of course, the Nigerians are excited to hear this news. But I would like to just paint a picture like what's happening with the fuel situation in the country. Of course, a lot of people felt, oh well, with the start of the Dangote refinery, things were going to get better. The fuel price will come down and all of that. But I'm sure you know the back and forth at the moment and what's happening. So you talked about increase in, rather reduction in airfares. Of course, that's one thing a lot of Nigerians want to see. I mean, the current economic situation and the fact that a lot of people cannot afford to travel, by air because of the airfares. In the past, listening to airline operators and of course listening to you, you have never mentioned this convention as being one of the reasons why the airfares were high. It's always been aviation fuel, other factors and all of that. I would like you to, just make it really clear to us, and Nigerians watching you at this point. The issue of aviation fuel being expensive and, all the bottlenecks with that and all other issues that the aviation sector is facing. Will this deal with all the problems? I mean, when I'm talking about all the problems, airfares, of course, and then delays with flights that we get to see, all the inadequacies with the airlines and everything. Will this just be the miracle that we need to see?
Thank you. The truth is, the moment you bring down the cost of acquisition, we're talking about cost of acquisition of your capacity. The moment you bring down the cost of acquisition, that also will trickle down to the cost of airfares. However, we've been talking about this inability to access dry lease opportunities over time. We've talked about it before. If the cost of acquisition is very high, of course, it will go to airfares. But now, this to bring down cost of acquisition. Like I said, the money you use in buying one brand new plane, you can use it to lease about 40 other aircraft or 50. So, if the cost of acquisition is brought down through this, it will surely affect the cost of airfares. However, it's not just this that will bring down airfares. There are other parameters. How about the numerous charges airlines are faced with in this country? This country is the highest, gives you the highest cost of operations in aviation. The charges in the country is the highest worldwide. And Mr. Vice President yesterday frowned at that. I'm very happy with this regime. It's a regime of businessmen who understand that the private sector must be supported for the country to move forward. I saw it yesterday. The Vice President took us into a chamber. He didn't even wait to go to the public to grandstand. There and then he was frank with certain agencies of government. He brought in the finance minister there, Mr. Waledu. He brought in the Nikon, the insurance regulator, the Nikon man there. He brought in a lot of people, and he was frank. You could see a government that is very, absolutely ready about helping indigenous investments. And we're happy. So, they are going to deal with the issues of fuel, the cost of fuel, the cost of insurance, which has been hitting the rooftop. What a Nigerian airline uses to insure one aircraft is what the legacy airlines of this world, those big airlines every one of you knows, may use in insuring 7 or 8 airplanes. So the Nigerian airline, operator is already disadvantaged. Mr. Vice President addressed this yesterday and challenged the regulator, the insurance regulator, to do something about it. A series of meetings are going to be held next week. Even the finance minister there and then will be the AON executives come to. They are very eager to social advisor on payback and advisor on payback. There, all of them, they brought all of them in the much given of what just did that insurance about fuel. And talking about fuel, today we have Dangote refineries. We in AON, we are ready to go with our indigenous producer of this commodity. So that, like Mr. President was saying, we have to be pro-Nigeria in everything we do. We are going to everybody in LN, go to Dangote and get your product. That is when we keep our money with our country. Pure is addressed. Those 7 times airlines are to go through address, of course, you. This thing come down, first come down.
All right, Dr. Emma, thank you very much. I just wanted to put this to Dr. Duwale before she leaves us. What is the place of the regulator in all of this? Does this strengthen them in any way?
Definitely, I think that when conversations between regulators and stakeholders are happening, when regulators have been able to create an enabling environment and a better place to regulate whatever sector. So the place for stakeholder engagement, if airline operators have been clamoring and advocating for a particular enabler, such as the procedural rules to the Capetown Convention, by the time a regulator has been able to deliver and the policy space in the ministry has been able to deliver, this is really the job of government. This is what it is to govern. This is what it is to support a sector. So this is a big plus for Mr. President, for His Excellency the Vice President, for the Honorable Minister of Aviation, and indeed the entire government, because this is really what it means to deliver for your people in a tangible, measurable way. That being said, I do have a flight to catch, pardon the pun, so thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Good morning.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Jumoke Oduwale. Thank you for your time. We appreciate the sacrifice you've had to make this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. It's an early break. We'll just take this break and return for the conversation afterwards. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. We have been discussing the Capetown Convention. Am I right?
Yeah. And Nigeria's aviation sector, what this means for all of us at the end of the day, not just the airline owners, customers, people who patronize.
Passengers and the ordinary Nigerians at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Well, we still have Dr. Alan Ona with us, who's been talking a lot about how this means so much for those of them who are airline operators. And I'm wondering if this also helps you to mobilize or get investors. If you want foreign investors, for instance, does it make it easier for them to invest in airlines in Nigeria?
So, of course, it makes it easier because the ease of acquiring the equipment, in fact, it's easier for all, even new entrants. Not really attract the dry leads, but if the new entrant could prove that they have the wherewithal to do it, it will be easier now. So for everyone, it's going to be a rosy playing field. However, like I said, with this, don't expect any magic to happen, except some of things that a lot of problems are. Some other stumbling blocks are not just so that they won't say because of this everything will jail. And the Vice President recognizes this, and yesterday he recognized that and gave a matching offer to some ministries, some to do something about it. The ease of business actually is coming home now. So the charges, there's 5% that we pay to NTA, and we're told that it's the passengers that pay it, it's not the airline. That's true. That's not true. And the Vice President has mandated them to look into it. Airline business does not give you money. It does not make, it drives your passion. If you go to America, the airlines, they're every place. Maybe 5%. no more than 5% profit at the end. 5 taking you from your fare for every goes to NTA. So that this money does not belong to the airlines. We're passing 10,000 to NCA. No. When you add that to our fare, for every fare we teach, you take 5% of it. It's bringing our opportunity to get some who maintain these planes, to best to other things. It's bringing them. So if you're like dead on arrival, when you're already removing 5%, and there are other charges, several other charges, some in dollars even. So the government agencies are supposed to be cost recovery in aviation. Their principles and regulations are there. You're not supposed to make it for government. Airports in certain areas, they specialize them. But making money for government, being the fourth, whatever largest contributor to of this country, is absurd. It's absurd to me. It's the airlines that are paying, and that's why they can't get up. If you say the money belongs to the passenger, that you are collecting it on behalf of the passenger, then leave that out of it. Put a place in the airport, collecting it from whatever you want to collect from passengers. That's amount of money. We agencies, they need money to function.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Alan Ona, I just hope your connection gets better. You're trying to highlight some of the other issues, of course, which the Vice President has said, should be addressed just so that the sector can function better. But, I'm just thinking about what you said. You talked about the outright cost of buying an airplane, and then when you lease, say, 40 airplanes, and then it means that you can cover more routes and all of that. Agreed. You will be able to cover more routes with the signing of this Capetown Convention. But I'm just thinking about the owners, for someone like you, for example. If you buy an aircraft, you have to just maintain just that one. You get staff to handle just that one. And of course, you can find your way around it. But if you lease 40, it means you have to maintain 40, you need to recruit more staff, all the other issues that you need to deal with in ensuring that this particular planes are in business. So tell me, how does this add to you, to the airline operator, or if you like the owner, just make us understand all of that. I'm just, looking outside, not understanding how the business operates, but I want you to give me the picture of how maintaining, hiring staff to take care of 40 aircraft is far better than having one which is fully yours, and, maintenance and staffing, all of that.
You see, the more aircraft you have, the more pilots you hire, the more cabin crew you hire, the more customer service agents you hire. It's a lot. So it's going to affect every sector of our life as a nation. For everybody you take out of it, and give an employment opportunity, for everyone you take out, you've succeeded in removing someone who might have been planning to involve himself in one vice or the other. It's going to even trickle down not only the economic situation of the country, like the ease of commuting people from one place to the other. It will open up the country. Agricultural products will be able to move from one end to the other so easily. Many people are going to be employed. Millions of people are going to be employed, and this will energize the economy. Aviation is not elitist; is a catalyst for other things to happen. So, a lot insecurity will also be dealt with. If a lot of the people who would have been involving themselves in also acts at the streets, that will also affect the level of insecurity in the country positively. So it is something that you cannot imagine how far it could go, and it will also attract foreign airlines for airlines in Nigeria. Of us will have the capacity to fly to Africa, fly to Asia, fly everywhere, and bring it into the country. The country can now become a good hub if the airport infrastructure is also improved to become a hub. The airlines of the country will be there to take advantage of the situation instead of leaving it all for foreign airlines coming here. You knew what happened before now, before this government helped APs to be where they are on the London route. You knew how that alone, that singular act, today crashed airfares up to 70%. Up to 70%. So you can imagine if these airlines are given the opportunity to get this equipment so easily, they will be all over the place. Just one airline, one destination costs a whole lot of revolution in the scheduled operations industry of the world as it relates to Nigeria. People should not forget that. Today, families, instead of one man traveling, he cannot afford to carry his own family to travel because Nigerians are now being charged exactly what they deserve to pay, not the one they forced down our throat before because there was no Nigerian airline doing certain shuttles. So if this happens, a lot of the airlines will be involved to open up the country. The economy will blossom. Emirates. You don't know what Emirates is contributing to the UAE. Emirates opened up UAE. They've been doing a lot, not necessarily the airline making money. The operating environment has been made very, easy for them over the years. And that trickled down to what you're seeing today in UAE. Bringing the world to that country, taking the world through there to other places and making them a hub. The geographical position of this country will be the next hub, not Addis Ababa. We are better positioned, the geographical position of this country, we are better positioned to be a hub. But airlines alone can make a hub. Acquiring 2 million aircraft cannot make a hub. You have to have the right airport infrastructure to make a hub. You have to have transit facilities in your airport for your country to be able to make a hub. A situation where somebody lands from, somebody going to maybe Dakar from Douala in Cameroon, comes to Lagos and has to check out, has to pass through immigration, quarantine, customs, and everything. You come out, then you do visa. You now come back again because you're going to Dakar with a Nigerian airline. You are passing through Nigeria, and you have to start checking in again to come. Nobody will want to come here. Nobody will want to come here. So the airport infrastructure must be improved. We must have transit areas so that when you land, you don't go through immigration or whatever. You go to the transit area where you're supposed to wait for the next flight. Take it. The moment that is the next thing I know this government will do anyway.
Many thanks, Dr. Alan Oyema. You have, spoken so well about how this is going to improve the economy. I was actually asking how this helps you as an airline operator, how this improves you're earning, or I don't know, how this benefits you in the fact that, yes, you have more aircraft now you have more airplanes to manage, and then you have to recruit more staff. So it means you're going to be spending a lot more and all of that. But I would really like you to balance that for me, how this is a cheaper opportunity for you compared to having, you know, your own aircraft that you can maintain. But you know, you talked about increasing the routes. In the increase of the routes, would it be international or domestic? This is because for domestic flights, okay. Anyways, I'm just going to ask my question, but I'm sure you'll respond after the break. The domestic flights, you want to wonder how many states or how many capital cities in Nigeria have functioning airports. So yes, so if you say you're going to be stopping at different places, I mean, are there airports that are functioning in that place that will be able to accommodate the planes, you know, all of that? I'm sure you'd like to talk about that when we come back from this break. Let's quickly take this break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us. All right, many thanks for staying with us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. That break was quite long, but of course, this is a unique Friday, and I'm sure you understand. We still have Dr. Alan Ona with us, and we're still talking about the convention that was signed, talking about the Capetown Convention and how this affects the aviation sector. Before we went on that break, Dr. Alan Ona, I was trying to ask, because you talked about the fact that airline operators can now begin to cover more routes. So when you say more routes, are you talking about international routes or domestic routes? I ask that because for domestic routes, you need functional airports at different points. And we know that maybe you can tell us clearly, how many airports do we have that are functional in the country that will be able to accommodate more routes?
Excuse me. Okay. With the increase in capacity, definitely there will be more routes, more frequencies. For example, if I'm going to Kano 2 times a day, because I have just one aircraft doing that, I could be going to Kano 5 times a day. Now, when you talk about functional airports, even the existing airports, you can develop more connectivities. There's no Enugu Kano. There's no Enugu Kaduna. There's no Calabar or Calabar to Enugu. There's no Port Harcourt to Kaduna. Everybody comes to Abuja. But if you have enough capacity, all these routes will be developed. So development of routes or increase in routes network is not only local, it's not only domestic, even regional and international too. Most of the airlines will have the capacity to foray into Africa. Not just, so it's both regional, international, and domestic. Even within the country, there are a lot of places. We have the airports, we have functional airports. What you can say is that the airports might not be what you think of. Maybe, for example, some will close around 6 p.m. they will close. But at least within the window of 7 a.m. and 6 p.m., you have one way to go. Like I said, you can create a flight from Calabar to Kaduna. Somebody from Calabar doesn't need to go to Lagos before getting to Kaduna. You can create a flight, can bring a smaller jet of about 30-seater or 40-seater. You'll be able to fill it, even if it's 3 times a week. That will ease the problem of commuting all over the country.
All right, Dr. Emma, thank you very much. You know, I had asked earlier whether the airlines have the capacity to harness all the benefits that this convention allows them to get. I don't know now what this would mean for staff of your airline if you have to get all that, you tap into all that is available to you, what this will mean for staff of your airlines and how it can even make your airlines better. What more can be done to make your operations in Nigeria better besides this?
I've said it before that the opportunities given to us under this signing of yesterday alone will not bring succor, except the other parameters are looked into. And I said earlier that the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, yesterday, gave a marching order to the other agencies to start looking into all those other clubs that might not make us harness the opportunities appropriately and adequately. So it's not a standalone thing. I talked about if the numerous charges airlines are meant to face are removed, if customs, excuse me, what is the intention, or what was the intention of the draftsman in 2020 when it was signed into law, complete duty waiver for the importation of aircraft, commercial aircraft, not private jets, for the importation of commercial aircraft, importation of aircraft spares, importation of aircraft engines and others. What was the intention of the draftsman in making that law? That it was signed into law in 2020, the Finance Act, making it easier. Airlines rejoiced, but at the end of the day, customs brought in the one they call CISS, EAITLS, they say ECOWAS, and under those headings, the same airlines are being made to pay a certain amount of money each time we import aircraft, each time we import spare parts, each time we import engines and others. We're not saying we don't want to contribute to the economy, but in aviation acts as a catalyst for other things to grow. You don't stifle the airlines. If you stifle the airlines, it will stunt the growth of that country. And you don't want to depend on foreign entities to come and do those things for you. Because at the end of the day, capital flights, look at how long it took Nigeria to liquidate the backlog of monies being owed foreign airlines. That affected us also. In fact, affected the country as a whole. So what we are saying is, Customs has to remove that, because the Finance Act of 2020 envisaged zero duty, not coming under through some other headings to make us. But then we are meeting with the finance minister. He's agreed to. The vice president told him to give us audience. And we are meeting with him on Tuesday, and he's very willing. The government is very willing to listen to us, not just listen to us, but act just like they've done in this. So, if you remove these charges, if you address the issue of fuel, if you address the issue of insurance, and address the issue of airport infrastructure, definitely a lot of things will improve. And if we start accessing equipment through dry lease, I'm not going to go out there to be borrowing a lot of money again from the banks at exorbitant interest rates. Right. And that will also affect the workforce, like you were asking me. The workforce will be better for it. Because before you compute your salaries, you have to think of other costs. So if my costs are reducing, of course, it will trickle down to the workforce. They will enjoy it too.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alan Ona. We need to go because of time, but I just want to ask, now that we're going to be seeing more airplanes because of this convention, the Capetown Convention, what does this mean for safety? Do we have what it takes to monitor, so many airplanes, flying here and there in the country? And of course, let us know your closing thoughts as we round off the conversation. All of this in, say, 60 seconds.
When you talk about safety, Nigeria has one of the most safest skies in the world. You see, the problem we have is that we don't praise our own. We don't praise our own. Nigerian airlines are very safe. The NCAA, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the kind of oversight they bring to bear on airlines in Nigeria, nowhere in the world does that happen. People don't know that planes fall out of the skies all over the world on a daily basis. People don't know. We have to appreciate Nigeria. We have to appreciate ourselves. We look down on ourselves so much. When we wanted to start London, some people were querying, can APs go to London? Hey, you want to fly? What kind of rubbish, arrant nonsense? Arrant nonsense. We don't appreciate our own. An airline that goes to China 14 hours non-stop, removes passengers and comes back another 14 hours, you're querying its capability to go to London. The same way they query the capability of other Nigerian airlines in doing it. If the planes come, it will even improve safety. It will even improve safety, but I tell you, the Nigerian airspace is one of the safest because of what the ministry is doing. Look at the other day. At times, you may accuse the Minister of Aviation of intervening. The government is watching every airline. The NTA is there watching every airline. The NTA conducts their affairs. Captain Najomo is a seasoned pilot. He knows when, if any airline is going to cut corners, and he's on top of his game.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alan Ona. It was really great to have you on the program. Because of time, we'll have to end the conversation at this point. Of course, it's a continuous one. I'm sure that once we begin to see improvement, we'd like to have you back, to tell us, some of the gains we're making in the aviation sector. Thank you so much. We do sincerely appreciate you, Dr. Alan Ona, for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you.
All right. So that's Good Morning Nigeria.
Regrettably, the NCAA has been mentioned so many times today, and they were supposed to be on the program, and it turns out a no-show.
All right. We hope the NCAA would answer to that some other time. So that's Good Morning Nigeria this Friday. Thank you so much, Shami and Ray John. Enjoy your weekend.
And I am Victor. As you enjoy the rest of your day, we'll see you on Monday.